up a little bit, taking you back to the corner, over here. All right, so tonight, paintings of the back in figurative art are kind of like the unagi of the sushi world. They're the Gershwin of the classical music world. They are the blue cruiser of every ski mountain. They're easy to love, they're entry level, they're a beautiful G-rated way to sort of get involved with and start falling in love with figurative art. And because they don't have any of the naughty bits that we've been shut down for, you can actually hang them anywhere, any place in your house, even places where, horror of horrors, children might see them because it's just backs. That is the beauty of paintings of the back. So, welcome to Living Figuratively. This is the show that asks the question, why not fill your home with the fascinating faces and figures and backs of people that you don't even know? Why not fill your home with figurative art? Each week I will take you on a little mini docent tour of my collection or works of my own and introduce you to figurative art in the hopes that you will learn to love it. And paintings of backs are a really good starter into the world of figurative art. They also, because they don't contain any of the naughty parts, are not going to be hopefully shut down on Facebook today. But here's the kicker. Next time you go to a museum, once the museums all start to open up again, which Cleveland Museum of Art actually only just opened up, and I'm sure other ones across the country are going to start opening up again. When you start going back to the actual art museums, I want you to take the boob challenge. The boob challenge would be where you go to, you can start in the Greek or the Roman or the Renaissance or basically any section of the museum, any collection, and start counting boobs. You may be surprised how many you find because real art through the ages, is full of images of naked bodies. It's part of the language of art and it's part of the beauty of art. So when you take that, take the challenge, you may be surprised. Anyway, today, back to the backs. We're going to start with, I've got these 3 right here, which are small. All of these are painted from life, and they are, I'm going to call them quick a la Prima Studies. The very top one is a drawing that maybe is even like a half hour drawing, and not very long. Of this beautiful willowy model who I've painted many times. One of the complexities with her is she is actually a horse masseuse, which if you didn't know that was a thing, it's a thing. Many models have this other life in addition to figure modeling, like they're musicians, they're songwriters, they're filmmakers, they're horse masseuses. And many of them are artists themselves, but they also do the modeling to supplement the art income. And so the barnwood frame on it and the sort of the spareness of this drawing really just kind of pulled everything together. So that was a nice way to do that back, I thought. Coming down one more over here. This work, it's called Down Her Back, came from, just returned home from the Abend Gallery in Colorado from their Small Works show. It's a painting on copper, which copper is such a luxurious thing to paint on. It's really, it's very fun. It's a little tricky sometimes, but so you have to kind of not cover up too much of the copper because then otherwise it's not clear that it's a copper painting. But because this was a longer pose, it was probably about 2.5, 3 hours. I was able to build some nice solidity in her back. That's one of the tricks with the backs. And she had the gorgeous braid to kind of break up everything. The piece on the bottom here, okay, is a little bit of an interesting one because once upon a time when we were building our house, I had all kinds of floor samples everywhere. Floor samples, wood samples, extra pieces of plywood that, you know, who knows what you're going to do with it. And so one of the things that I did with them is I would seal them up, I would gesso them, or I would seal them up with shellac, and then take them to life drawing sessions where I painted life drawings on them. And so this was probably another several hour posing session. I do kind of wish that I hadn't painted it on this piece right here with the, you know, the floorboard patterns on it, like you can see the indentations. But it does bring up an interesting theory about art that I have, where with a good painting should be able to shine through despite the presentation. And I'm going to give you an example. If you go to a museum and you take a Rembrandt off the wall, you pull it out of its big gold frame, you poke a couple holes in it, you like misalign the canvas behind it, get it, you know, just kind of rough it up a little bit, make it kind of a messed up painting, and then you throw it in the dumpster. Somebody painting into it, the presentation will lift it up. Much like, I don't know if you guys remember back in the before time, the big deal on the internet was that banana that was duct taped to the wall. And it fetched, I want to say, $120,000 at an art fair. And it was, you know, it was like the shock of the art world, and it was a duct tape banana. My bet is that if somebody took that, okay, all right, okay, so, all right, can't blame Facebook for that one. I believe that was spotty Wi-Fi. Anyway, okay, let's move along. Are we on the air now? Okay, excellent, good. Let's move along. The next one up here is one of my only paintings of a back that is not one of my own paintings. This is David Hettinger, who a couple years ago, more than a couple years ago, he put out on Facebook that he was having an online, you know, studio sale type thing. And luckily I was awake and paying attention, and I've loved his work for a long time. And so I jumped on this beautiful piece here. One of the things that I loved about this beautiful back was that little fold on the right side in her back. It's that squish where, you know, like we all have this extra skin on our back, and she, you know, she's a lean model, so it's not like this big back fat type thing. But it's this very human detail, this nice little squish. And the whole composition with her head tilting and the zigzag as it works down the frame. And his signature here, God knows what that actually says. I just remembered that it's David Hettinger, but that must be how he signs it, because that's, you know, so I have loved that piece. Simple and perfect. Speaking of simple and perfect, let's go down here to this painting right here, which is called Reversal of Venus. You guys probably remember, if you've been paying attention or watching my work, my Venus painting called Venus, She's Got It. And this painting is one that I did as basically a preparatory painting for it. What I wanted to do was to work out the color issues of her flesh tones on the shocking blue background. And the shocking blue background was integral to the concept because the song that the whole thing was based on, the whole concept was based on, was the Venus, She's Got It by the Shocking Blues. You guys do know what that song is. You don't? You want to hear it? All right. The goddess on the mountain top, burning like a silver flame, the summit of beauty and love, and Venus was her name. All right, I'm going to stop before I get shut down or before the internet decides no more. But anyway, I loved painting her, and this one, since it was a longer study, I really wanted to build the solidity of her back. And when you have a painting of, okay, what I like to paint are, you know, faces. I love painting faces. I love the details of faces. I love getting the ins and the outs and the, you know, to build a solid head and the likeness and everything. The back doesn't give you any of that opportunity. The back, especially a youthful, beautiful back, doesn't have a lot of detail on it, and it's a lot of empty real estate, but you still have to make it solid. One of the things that is beautiful, and I'm so glad people have these in the back, are these lovely little squish points where the arm meets the back. And also the way that the light hits the back, and this part is actually in shade. So like that is one of the things that kind of can make a back into a really nice three-dimensional object, and where you can really have a lot of fun with it. And so I loved painting this. I loved painting her, and she had this gorgeous braid going down her back. This was the real braid that she had in the painting that I did, where I'll show you it. I loved it so much. I put it on my business card. I did a lot more fanciful stuff with the braids snaking around, kind of like the Botticelli's Venus, where her braids are all over the place. But in real life, she had this one single gorgeous braid, and it has a lot of red. She had some red woven into it, so I was able to do some nice scratchy effects with the red. And I'm very surprised that this painting has not sold yet, because it's just so easy to love. It's like a simple, lovely painting. And last year it was in the Salmagundi Art Club as part of the Allied Artists 106th juried show, which I'm going to put a little plug for Allied Artists. The 107th annual juried show, the deadline for submissions is tomorrow night at midnight. And I highly recommend it, because this year, because of COVID, it's online only, and there's no size restriction. Anytime something shows at the Salmagundi, which is where it always is, there's always a size restriction, like it has to be small. But you can enter your biggest, brightest, best pieces, and there's still $25,000 in prize money that's given out in, like, split up between a bunch of good prizes. Also, there's the very coveted gold medal grand prize, which so far I have never won that, but every year I'm hopeful. That has been won in the past by the likes of David Hettinger, Nicole Monet, Stanka Kordic, Shayna Levinson, Tom Valenti, and Daniel Green, who is a master that really just passed away very recently. So putting a little plug for that, AlliedArtsOfAmerica.org. Check it out. So one of the things that you can do to break up a beautiful, youthful back is add some fanciful detail to it. Like, for instance, over here, snakes. So you've all seen my Medusa paintings as well, or my hashtag Medusa2 paintings. So I'm not going to tell you the story. You'll have to dig it up. I'm sure you can find it in about 6 places on all my stuff. But I'm going to tell you about the technical aspects and the design aspects of how this painting came together. When I had the model pose for me, I pinned a bunch of rubber snakes into her hair. She was okay with that, because she actually has owned snakes in the past, so she wasn't all freaked out by having snakes pinned in her hair. And she had a lot of, black voluminous hair in and of itself. So it was easy to kind of interweave the snakes into it. But I didn't have the snakes and her hair covering her back as much as I do here, because what I wanted to do with the painting is to build a really nice solid back. And then once that was all dry and worked out and all the considerations were all worked out in it, then I added the snakes, and many of them it's kind of made up based on the reality of these rubber snakes. Like, I really went to town with working out designs that define the form, that didn't run into any tangents, that were able to cast some nice shadows on it, that kind of interwove into the pattern on her drapery down there. So you know, the snakes were their own design issue. But that wasn't the first one that I did. The first one that I did was this one over here, which is another study, just like I did for Reversal of Venus. This one is called Reversal of Medusa. And so this was the simpler study where I worked out the green and the purple and how her flesh tones were going to work with the purple and the green frame, or actually it's the purple frame, and how it was going to do the snakes. And I used the reality of, she had a really nice tattoo there, which I put into this painting because this was a little bit more the reality of my actual model. And one of the things that I've always thought is that this painting and my Reversal of Venus painting, because they're both the same size, because they're both backs, would really make a nice set. So if somebody wanted to buy the two of them together, I might be willing to make a little deal. Check them out on my website. I'm going to finish it up with my favorite kind of back to paint, which is a back that's as interesting as a face. And I've got this pinned up here for a little bit of modesty, just because I'm not taking any chances today, at least. You can probably guess what's under there. And basically this model for Winged Victory, I love the fact that her back had so much complexity to it. She's got the gorgeous scapula and the different personality of her two scapulas, depending on where she's holding these rug beaters. I love the wrist, the crepey skin under there, the way that the shadows from these go around the form. That was something that I had a lot of fun putting together. And this to me is just a gorgeous back, like these little bone nubules. It's really, I had as much fun painting this back as I do faces. So I'm going to finish up with this one here. Thank you all for joining me tonight for Living Figuratively. And remember, as always, any sales that I make from this, including giclées, because all the mythology pieces, I can make giclées from them, and including giclées and the originals, 50% of my profits will go forward into the struggling art community, which during the COVID crisis continues to struggle and continues to try to get better. Join me next week. Next week will be the week where someday my prince will come. And by prince, I don't mean the handsome kind with the crown. Maybe you can guess what I do mean. So same bat time, same bat channel, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And y'all come back now, you hear?